So we're going to talk about issues in GitHub. Issues are very useful for doing things like recording decisions that have been made about a project, keeping track of tasks that need to get done, prioritizing tasks. So in this project, a lot of people are leaving fairly soon. And there hasn't been a lot of recording of reasons that certain decisions were made, whether they were about wording or whether they were about what code was used, what UI, UX, right? What, like using, for example, on, I don't remember the name, but Sam's and their interview, you know, multiple items on one page or a single item on each page, how to ask about intervals and then do the math later. Like why did we make those decisions? So that's one thing that we want to capture. Another thing we want to capture is tasks that either we're going to be doing or tasks that could be done in the future. Really any changes to the code that are planned or that could be, it's, you know, MVP, and then it's also beyond MVP. And right now what you all are trying to capture is actually 3 kinds of tasks. So put in all the tasks. Then when you're done putting in all the tasks, we'll try and either together or, you know, probably together, go through and say, these are the tasks that are MVP. And these are the tasks that we're going to try and get done while you're still here. So that you have some goals to achieve and you don't just leave in the middle and go, oh, I guess that's where I was, right? So that people can take over after you, so that people aren't re-examining decisions that were already made for good reasons, that people know where to move on after that point. And really that's it, unless maybe I haven't covered an angle. All right, so I will take questions from the peanut gallery. We haven't covered yet making tasks and making issues, and Blake's actually got some experience with that, so he'll cover it a bit and will be a good resource. But are there questions about the purposes of tasks or the utility of those purposes? Are people good with that explanation? If so, do an emoji of a thumbs up or otherwise indicate so. All right. Okay.
Guys are so quick with these thumbs up. 1 second. Wait.
Yep. Okay. All right. We've got 2 more. 1 more left. Aubrey? The question is, what was the question? Okay, thumbs up. Great. Awesome. So in that case, Blake, do you feel comfortable taking over and doing a little demo of making an issue? There's also GitHub documentation that I'm going to link.
Yeah, I actually have my GitHub right here. Let me just share my screen. All right, can you guys see that?
I can see it.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I can see it.
So what I have up here right now is kind of an example of when Michelle was referring to an explanation of why you made a certain decision when you were working on your interview. Our form, Marriage Without Delay, requires kind of multiple processes for the user because eventually they're going to file for marriage at a town hall, which doesn't happen in the courts. And that was kind of a big learning curve for us. So this issue right here kind of just documents why we ask our user to call a town clerk. Because basically those clerks might prefer the judge's order for marriage without delay to be from a specific court. And so when someone's picking up our form later on, they can understand why we made that decision and kind of see some documentation that shows that we spoke with a subject matter expert and kind of arrived at this conclusion.
That is, I just want to point out that is super excellent. Either links or who the SME was, like resources. So if there's anything like that, anything that people will be able to follow a thread on to find out more, super useful. Thanks for it.
Yeah, and we can definitely, me and Matt have kind of thrown a lot of information into the issues and haven't gone back and maybe made them as thorough as they can be. So obviously, for example, I can just click this ellipses and edit the issue and add anything like Michelle's saying. But yeah, outside of that, when you're on your form, you have this issues tab that allows you to kind of create different issues and then tag them, whether it's documenting a previous decision or kind of a question that hasn't been resolved, or bugs that you still haven't, resolved the coding for. So yeah, this is kind of my level of understanding. I don't know if that's been as comprehensive as Michelle wanted, but yeah.
That's great.
Is there anything
That's
else
great.
I can
love it.
add to that?
Are there questions?
No questions from me, but I just think that's a really good explanation. Thank you very much, Blake.
I do.
Thanks.
What did I want to say? Nope, I forgot. Carry on. Questions about Blake's presentation?
Just thumbs up.
People who are good with that explanation, thumbs up. I really had something important, just FYI. It's not coming to me.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just something that we've realized is it's really hard to kind of like sit down and think of these things. They kind of come to you as you're working on your form. And you kind of realize like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize we made this decision a month ago. And you kind of take it for granted is the hard thing.
I think maybe going through the interview, a suggestion there is going through the interview and or going through the code, kind of screen by screen or line by line, and thinking about, the history there. It might help. I don't know if you've tried that, but yeah,
and definitely with testing as well too. That also brings up things.
Testing. Oh, this is what I wanted to cover. This isn't a teaching thing, so I don't know if it needs to be on the recording. So, but we need to make sure we hardline assign at least one person to at least be in charge of issues happening, if not doing the issues themselves. We need people who maybe need a break from coding, or if no one needs a break from coding, are just willing to bite the bullet and be that person. So that means probably each team should report. I'll make a thread for teams to report in, and each team can say at least one person who will be working on the documentation for which form, right? So, cool. All right, I think that wasn't long, but I think it was pretty comprehensive with what we wanted to cover.
We're getting so much better at keeping these meetings shorter than, right?
Just everybody knows everything already, so it's not a problem.
Okay, so maybe what we can say is, if you don't have any questions now, but the standard thing of when you're going through this and actually applying your mind and trying to come up with issues yourself, questions might come to you. In which case you can then reach out to any of us, Blake as well, specifically, or it might be beneficial to put it in the assembly line channel because it might be a question that other people have.
I will put the question about who is taking on the role in the code channel, since everybody is in the code channel, right? And I don't think that's really an assembly line question.
Yeah, and the only thing I can think to add is about these labels. It's really a good idea to label every issue that you put in there, because it might not be readily apparent to someone if it's a question or documentation. And they're really easy to use. There's like 15 different options right here under this tab.
All right. And
okay, thank you very much for that explanation, Blake. And guys, thank you very much for jumping on this call. We'll be available to answer questions offline, and otherwise I'll see you guys tomorrow at stand-up.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Spencer, if you have a
Bye,
second,
everyone. Thanks.
could you just stay on? I just want to chat to you for 1 second.
Should-
Absolutely.
You're gonna stop